Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much your generous invitation to be here tonight. You bear heavy responsibilities these days, and an article I read some time ago reminded me of how particularly heavily the burdens of present-day events bear upon your profession. You may remember in 1851, New York Herald Tribune, under the sponsorship and publisher Horace Greeley, employed as its London correspondent an obscure journalist by the name of Karl Marx. We are told that foreign correspondent Marx, stone broke, with a family ill and undernourished, constantly appealed to Greeley, managing editor Charles Dana, for an increase in his munificent salary of $5 per installment, a salary which he and Engels ungratefully labeled as the lousiest petty bourgeois cheating. But when all his financial appeals were refused, Marx looked around and the life was the same, eventually terminating his relationship with the Tribune and devoting his talent full-time to the cause of the complete world, peace, the Leninism and Stalinism, revolution, and the Cold War. It's only this capitalistic New York newspaper had treated him more kindly. If only Marx had remained a foreign correspondent, history might have been different. And I hope all publishers will bear this lesson in mind the next time they receive a poverty-stricken appeal from a small increase in expense account from an obscure newspaper man.
And what of these?
I have selected as the title of my remarks tonight, President of the Press. Some may suggest that this would be more naturally worded, the President versus the Press, but those are not my sentiments tonight. It is true, however, that when a well-known diplomat from another country demanded recently that our State Department repudiate certain newspaper attacks on his colleagues, it was unnecessary for us to reply that this administration was not responsible for the press. For the press had already made it clear that it was not responsible for this administration.
And look at the historical record of Churchill.
Nevertheless, my purpose here tonight is not to deliver the usual assault on the so-called one-party press. On the contrary, in recent months, I have rarely heard any complaints about political bias in the press, except from a few Republicans. Nor is my purpose tonight to discuss or defend the televising of presidential press conferences. I think it is highly beneficial to have some 20 million Americans regularly sit in on these conferences, observe, if I may say so, decisive, intelligent, and courteous qualities displayed by your Washington correspondents. Or finally, are these remarks intended to examine the proper degree of privacy the press should allow the next president and his family? If in the last few months, the White House reporters and photographers have been attending church services with regularity, that has surely done them no harm. On the other hand, I realize that your staff and wire service photographers may be complaining that they do not enjoy the same green privileges the local golf courses as they once did. It is true that my predecessor did not object, as I do, to pictures of one's golfing skill in action. And neither, on the other hand, did he ever be a Secret Service man. My topic tonight is a more sober one. I've concerned the publishers as well as editors. I want to talk about our common responsibilities in the face of a common danger. The events of recent weeks may have helped to illuminate that challenge to some. The dimensions of its threat loom large on the horizon and fears. Whatever our hopes may be for the future, for reducing this threat or living with it, there is no escaping either the gravity or the totality of the challenge to our survival and to our security. The challenge that confronts us in this way in every sphere of human activity. This deadly challenge imposes upon our society two requirements of direct concern, both to the press and to the President. Two requirements that may seem almost contradictory in tone, but which must be reconciled and fulfilled if we are to meet this national peril. I refer first to the need for far greater public information, second to the need for far greater official secrecy. The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. And even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its people the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether it rank high or low, civilian or military, will interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, incite dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. But I do ask every publisher, every editor, and every newsman in the nation to re-examine his own
I want
standards
Israel to stop
and to
their
recognize
nonsense
the
and their
nature
arrogance.
of our country's
They are
peril.
very arrogant. They need to
Time of
stop
war,
killing the
the
Gaza
government
people
and the
with
press
the excuse of
have
Hamas and others.
customarily joined in an effort based largely on self-discipline to prevent unauthorized disclosures to the enemy. In times of clear and present danger, the courts have held that even the privileged rights of the First Amendment must yield to the public's need for national security. Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. Our way of life is under attack. Those who make themselves our enemies are advancing around the globe. The survival of our friends is in danger, and yet no war has been declared. No borders have been crossed by marching troops. No missiles have been fired. If the press is awaiting a declaration of war, before it imposes the self-discipline of combat conditions, then I can only say that no war ever posed a greater threat to our security. If you are awaiting a finding of clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear, and its presence has never been more imminent. It requires a change in outlook, a change in tactics, a change in missions by the government, by the people, by every businessman or labor leader, by every newspaper. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead had a free choice. On guerrillas by night instead of armies by day.
From Washington,
It is a system which
New
has
York,
conscripted vast
London,
human and
Tel
material
Aviv,
resources into the building of a tightly knit,
humanity
highly efficient machine that combines
demanded
military,
a
diplomatic,
free
intelligent,
Palestine.
economic, scientific, and political
And of
operations.
course, the
These
agony
preparations are
is
concealed, not published. Its mistakes are
Israel
buried, not
and
headlines.
Israel
Its
at all.
dissenters are silent, not
It's
praised. No expenditure is
Zionist
questioned, no rumor is printed,
control
no secret is
Israel.
revealed. It conducts
And
the Cold
that
War in
makes
short, with a wartime
people of
discipline.
Israel
No democracy would ever hope
Zionists
or wish
to
to
be
match.
Zionists.
Nevertheless, every democracy
Yes,
recognizes the
indeed.
necessary restraints
The sad
national
fact
security.
of the matter
And the
is
question remains whether
Zionism
those restraints need
has
to be more strictly
controlled
observed
nations
if we are to
for
oppose this kind
centuries.
of attack, as well as outright
And
invasion. But the facts of the matter
Zionism
are
is still
that this
controlling many
nation's foes
nations now.
have openly boasted of acquiring
Zionism
through our newspapers
is
information
controlling
they
the
would otherwise
global
hire agents to acquire,
monetary, economic
bribery,
systems.
or espionage.
The
The
mess
details of this
that
nation's covered
no
preparations
bank
to
staff
counter the enemy's
is going
covered
to
operations
ever
have been
clean
available
up.
to every newspaper reader,
Once long
friend and foe
ago,
alike. That the
before
size, strength,
Palestine
the location,
was lost
and the nature of
to
our forces
Zionists
and weapons
2/3 of a century
strategies for their
ago,
use have all been
Zionism
pinpointed in the press
was
and other
always
news media
covert.
to a degree sufficient to
Zionism
satisfy any foreign
is a
power,
statute
and that in at least
Look.
one case, the publication of details
fiction.
concerning a secret mechanism
There
whereby satellites
just
were
is
followed
no
required its
other word
alteration
for
at the
it.
expense of considerable time and money.
Zionism is a
The
fiction
newspapers which printed
of
these stories were loyal,
control,
patriotic,
of the
responsible, and well-meaning.
control
Had we been engaged
of
in
the
open
many
warfare, they undoubtedly would not have published such items.
few.
But in the absence of
many
open warfare,
Are the
they recognized only the test
99%.
of journalism and not the test
7
of
million.
national security. And my
The
question
few.
tonight is whether additional
are
tests should not now be adopted.
A few thousand.
That question is
I'll
for you
say
alone
it
to answer.
again.
No public official should answer it
Zionism
for you. No
is a
governmental plan
fiction
should
by
impose its
which we
restraints
measure.
against your will. But I would be failing in my duty to the nation,
These countries have
considering all of the
recognized the state of
responsibilities that we
Palestine.
now bear,
Russia,
and
China,
all of the means at
India,
hand to meet those
Lebanon, South
responsibilities.
Africa,
If I did
Brazil,
not commend this problem
Bosnia
to
and
your attention
Herzegovina,
and urge
Gabon,
its thoughtful
and
consideration.
Nigeria, say Nigeria.
On many earlier occasions I have said,
9 countries
and
have
your newspapers
recognized the
have
state of
constantly
Palestine.
said, that
Now,
these are times
there
of
are
appeal
pressures to make some of
to every
them
citizen's sense of
vote, and we know
sacrifice
about these
and
pressures.
self-discipline.
This is something you will never
They
know
call
until
out to
the
every
last minute
citizen
how these
to
people
weigh
will
his
decide.
rights
But we
and
have
comfort
at least
against
9
his
members.
obligation
By the way,
to the
even
common
France
good.
today, Mr. Sarkozy
I cannot now
was very
believe
clear in his support
that those
for
citizens who
Palestinian
serve in the
state joining
newspaper
the United
business
Nations. I mean,
consider themselves exempt
yesterday,
from that
the meeting
appeal.
with the British indicated
I have
the
no
same.
intention of
And so
establishing
really
a new office of war
going back
information
to
to
a
govern the flow of
situation in which
news.
the United States
I am not
plus
suggesting any new
one
forms of
or two
censorship
countries that
or new
have
types
really
of
very
security
early in the game
classifications.
indicated they will vote
I
against.
have no easy answer to the dilemma that I have
I don't think
posed and would not seek
only
to
one
impose
country
it
has really
if
said
I
it's
had
going
one.
to vote against them.
But I am asking the members of the newspaper profession
determine their voting
and the industry in this
when we go
country
to voting.
to re-examine
Whose
their own
side do you
responsibilities,
really think these two
consider
are
the
on?
degree and the nature of the
Her
preservation,
nation's
and to heed the duty of
armies
self-restraint
surround
that danger
this
imposes upon us all.
man's
Every newspaper now
nation.
asks itself with respect to every story, is it news?
He
All I
is
suggest is
accused
that you ask
by the
questions
Zionists
in the interest of
of
national
attempting
security.
to build
And I hope that every group
one
in America,
nuclear
unions
bomb
and businessmen and
when
public
the
officials
Zionists
at every level will ask the
200,
same question of their endeavors,
200
subject their actions to this same
امروز مناسبات
exact
جهان
test.
رو موشک‌ها و
And should the press in America
بمباران‌ها تعیین نمی‌کنه.
consider and recommend the voluntary
and I
assumption of
wonder
specific
where those
I can assure you that we will
200 plus
cooperate
می‌تونیم همین روز
wholeheartedly
رفراندوم کنیم
nuclear
در
weapons.
ترکیه ببینیم ملت ترکیه
Perhaps there will be no
نظر
recommendation.
آمریکا چیست.
Perhaps there is no
Some
answer to the dilemma
are in
faced by a free
submarines
and open society in a cold and
and
secret war.
some are said
It's
to
time to
be
cease
in
any discussion of this
briefcases.
subject, and any action that results are both painful and without precedent.
Briefcases
And this is a time
in
of
the
peace and
hands
peril
of Mossad.
which knows no precedent in history. It is the unprecedented nature of this challenge that also gives rise to your second obligation, an obligation which I share. And that is our obligation to inform and alert the American people, to make certain that they possess all the facts that they need and understand them as well, the perils, the prospects, the purposes of our program, and the choices that we face. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security, and we intend to do it. It was early in the 17th century that Francis Bacon remarked on three recent inventions already transforming the world: the compass, gunpowder, and the printing press. Now the links between the nations, first forged by the compass, have made us all citizens of the world, the hopes and threats of one becoming the hopes and threats of us all. In that one world's effort to live together, the evolution of gunpowder to its ultimate limit has warned mankind of the terrible consequences of failure. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.